a friend of you. No, he doesn't. Shut up. Let him talk.
Hello.
But the big break came in 1978 with a bizarre spin-off of the hit series Happy Days. The show was called Mork and Mindy.
Mork, calling Orson.
Mork was the perfect character for Robin. Since he played an alien, he didn't have to behave like regular folks, something Robin rarely did anyway. It led to his being cast in what everyone expected to be the blockbuster of 1980, a live-action version of the comic strip Popeye.
I'm Popeye, the sailor, and I am what I am, what I am, and I am what I am, and that's all that I am, 'cause I am what I am.
Popeye was the kind of movie that ruins great careers and marks talented people as box office poison. Fortunately, his next film, The World According to Garp, was successful enough to keep him from crashing.
We'll take the house.
Garp.
Honey, the chances of another plane hitting this house are astronomical. See, it's been pre-disastered. We're going to be safe here.
Next, Robin embarked on a long list of forgettable films. Some were good, some were bad, none were blockbusters. In the middle of it all came the overdose death of Robin's friend, John Belushi. Robin had seen Belushi that night and volunteered to testify at the hearing. Robin, too, it seems, was addicted to cocaine. It took the death of his friend and the birth of his son, Zachary, now 6, to clean him up for good.
You have this dream where you're doing cocaine in your sleep and you can't fall asleep, and you're doing cocaine in your sleep and you can't fall asleep, and you wake up and you're doing cocaine. Bingo.
There was still the problem of the movie career. The man, it seemed, was impossible to cast. He needed a role where he could perform as well as act. And in 1987, he got it.
Good morning, Vietnam! Hey,
Good Morning Vietnam let us see every corner of his talent, and once and for all canceled his image as box office death. All of which would have been wonderful were it not for the fact that his personal life at the time was in turmoil. He was in the middle of a divorce with his ex-wife Valerie when this cover appeared in 1988. It implied that Robin had divorced his wife and run off with his son's nanny. It angers Robin to this day. So much so that even on a hot Sunday in the park, he wanted to sit down and talk of the misconceptions about his new wife, Marcia.
I mean, the basic byline was the nanny that broke up the marriage.
Yeah.
First of all, we didn't become involved till it was a year after I'd been separated. And she only took care of Zachary for a short time, and then somebody else was taking care of him, and then she became my assistant and worked with me during, started off working with me when I first became separated.
So it wasn't a romance then?
No.
Their baby, Zelda, was only 6 days old when we took her on her first outing. She was born on July 31st here in New York, because increasingly, that's where her daddy is making movies.
Donald Trump, white courtesy phone.
How do you like what we've done to your house? Have we improved your living room?
I believe you've done something beautiful with here. These, if you can pan over here, and that one, these are staying to give it that lovely high-tech look. These I would like to just keep here just to have in the house. It's always good for Zelda to actually wake up and go, no. We just keep them around. Hey, you've got a film studio now here. This is beautiful. I like this.
No, this is what you've done in this lovely stuff. This stuff, you can never have enough moving blankets in your home. You can never insulate your house for sound, because eventually you'll be walking around the house going, it's wonderful. Now I'll be doing Comics of a Lesser God. This is great. Look, he can't behind there.
You're driving him crazy.
This is great. Well, this will have that special look.
This is called reality.
And now we can do like the mafia interview. I never saw her.
I talked with Robin in his Manhattan apartment. This was not like any interview I've ever done. But to talk with Robin Williams is like stepping into a hurricane and discovering a calm at the center. Okay, tell us about the baby. Can I stop you from telling me about the baby?
God. It's a girl. She's 9 pounds, 7 ounces. Actually, a friend said we gave birth to a woman. She had shoes and a bag. It was amazing to go through it again, but it's just as amazing the second time. Just to look at her is like better than any videotape. You can sit and just kind of watch and just watch this.
You watch her and she watches you?
Yeah, she checks me out and goes,
Will you be buying me things?
yeah. Look, Bloomingdale. Can you say that? Bloomingdale.
No, Cartier.
Okay. Yeah, so I watch her, yeah.
Robin, I want to ask you all the dumb questions that like. Were you born like this?
No. I guess it happened like the first year of college. It was a store of things. Basically, no, I wasn't performing all the time. I performed with, truth is, performing for my mother. It's like Lenny Bruce used to talk about it, saying it's a love me syndrome. For me, performing was a great way to, interrelate with my mother. She was funny, and a way great to talk back to her was to be funny back. And we played back and forth that way. And that's where performing came from. And then it really, it sounds like a closet comic. I remember I used to have a rubber chicken. And the first year of college, I started performing in this improv group, and I never stopped since then.
That's not what you intended to do, though.
No, I intended to be a political scientist. It's very difficult to imagine me right now going, Mr. Williams, I find what you're doing right now, the neo-democratic tendencies. Basically, what I find the Supreme Court doing right now is writing the Constitution on an Etch-a-Sketch.
I think it's good that you went into a different profession.
Yeah, I think it's better that way.
Robin, do you ever just talk straight?
Yeah.
For how long?
Hours at a time.
Yeah?
Yeah, I can for a long time. Don't like to, because it's more fun to play.
Did you go into comedy because you couldn't make it as an actor?
Yes, I actually...
Is that true? That's what I read. That you couldn't get a job as a...
Yes.
You cry on this program, I won't run any of it.
It was that...
You promised me you wouldn't cry.
Damn you. I couldn't make it as an actor. I remember doing Hamlet, going, to be, line. I found it very difficult being in tights, and you're wearing tights and you're doing Shakespeare and they can tell what religion you are.
The tears come down your cheeks, I remember.
Yeah, they go,
I just realized
I can't believe it, Barbara, you... Oh, God,
Pull yourself, Robin. Pull yourself together.
Pull myself in. Because I couldn't make it, because it was difficult in coming back from Juilliard and trying to find acting work.
Are you now in a position where you can choose the roles? You said at one point that, I think it was, you thought that Steve Martin got the parts first.
It was like a
Eddie
comic
Murphy,
food chain.
Yeah.
You can tell, you can tell what scripts came from Eddie, because there's a lot of whiteout. But wait a minute, this is a role for a black man. No, it isn't really. You'll see. And, you can tell, there was like a food chain that you work your way up.
Where are you now in that chain?
I don't know.
I think you're way up there.
Somewhere below Jack. We're all below Jack, Barbara. Jack's the king. We're all just players in the court. Every time you see a bat shirt, there's Jack going, hey, who knew?
After Mork and Mindy, I remember we tried to do an interview with you when you were doing Mork, and you were way up there, boy, And then there was that...
So that period.
The
quiet time,
period,
what we like to call the Popeye years.
Yes. And a few others that made...
The Popeye Survivor's Best of Times years. Those films that you'd see people walking out going, I want some money from you. Yeah.
Why do they think he's funny?
Yeah. Are you that guy from Survivors? Yeah, then you shouldn't do any more movies. You're no good. Yeah, it was scary when you see a movie on cable before it actually came out, then you know it's not good.
People also feel, in writing about you and, and reading the interviews, that the death of John Belushi was an enormous influence on you, rather than just, well, I don't know, you tell me what it was for you.
It's only the fact that, here's a guy who was probably one of the toughest, strongest people you could ever meet, and he's taken out, and it basically, it cleaned up a whole generation of people. Because this guy was as strong as anybody you could ever meet. John, for a laugh, could run into that wall and get up and do it again. So if it took him out, you realize that, we're all pretty mortal.
When we hear about people using drugs, most of the time they use them to get a high.
Yeah, for me it was basically it was a great way of escaping. It was a great way to cut off from people because it was the only time I could escape, It was, if I was on cocaine right now, I'd be looking over here out the window going, they're coming, man. Even though we're up 30 floors, I know they're there. So that was why I could have cut off, escape. I didn't have to deal with anybody. And then you realize that's what's wonderful now, is all the people I actually come up and have conversations with people, not afraid to talk to people. Or sometimes you run into people who you should be afraid to talk to, and then you realize that.
But you said that you can get out on that floor and talk to thousands of people, and it's okay, and very hard one-to-one.
Yeah.
Still.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes it's difficult.
Yeah.
Performing is different than actually, intimacy. There's the difference between it. And we'll be right back. It's a whole other thing. Performing for me is the greatest release in the world. It is a drug. Even now you realize there's other drugs that are not drugs, like Zelda, or like the most addicting of all is love. I mean, when you see a child, I mean, there's some great endorphin release then. Creating something is another drug. There's an incredible release then. That's why Einstein looks amazingly high. It's just like,
Well, I don't know, but I'll be back, you know. It's crazy.
what are you doing?
The speed of light. It's crazy. It's wild.
Strange thing, if you ever walk up to a scientist and go, "Hi, Mr. Oppenheimer, I've seen all your bombs. Can you sign this?"
When you get up there, do you know at all what you're going to say, or does it all, I mean, when you're there, does...
Sometimes. It's like an outline. Sometimes I have that, or sometimes it'll be times where I just go out and try stuff, where you have like an idea, especially now with things flying, just to come up with a premise. I mean, it's like, example, the Supreme Court recently ruled that you can't execute retarded people, but there was recently an execution in North Carolina, or one of the southern states, somewhere below the Manson-Nixon line, where they executed a retarded person, and someone didn't throw the switch the right way, and they survived, which is nice because they're actually using retarded people for the execution.
Don't be afraid.
So this is all part of it. You try stuff. I can see the look of you right now, like...
I mean, that's... Woo! Because to me, because to me, I think that's tragic. You can take anything and make it funny.
No, it's not trying to make it... Well, it obviously didn't work that well the way you
It's
look.
going to make me cry.
I looked at you. You look like a deer.
This is going to be a switch.
Yeah.
This is going to be the first...
Whoa! You look like a deer in front of a Peterbilt. Like.
Oh, we won't put that in the special, will we?
This is the first special in which you'll be straight and I'll cry.
Yeah, you'll be like...
You didn't have to do the retarded execution.
That's right.
You didn't have to talk about that.
You could have talked about the baby a little more.
Yeah, stay with the baby. Don't talk about the country. It's scary.
Excuse me.
We have to do the Waldheimlich maneuver on you.
I don't remember anything before 1945. What happened? I don't know. Barbara. I was in the forest. I was not a Nazi. I was picking nuts. I was a Nazi. I was cracking walnuts. I never meant to do that. We were going to do a musical called Saturday Night Fever. I was never there. Goebbels was wearing something from Fredericks of Hollywood. It was not my fault. I was delivering underwear to Goebbels, and he was coming out dancing like Betty Grable. What does that make me? I don't know. They were crazy that way. We woke up. We were in Poland. It wasn't anybody's fault, you know. It was...
I think I'm warmed up now.
I think you're... Forget it.
Now we're back! It's been a couple of months since I've performed! Whoa!
The Barbara Walters Special, brought to you by new L'Oreal Plenitude Skincare, Matique Illuminating Matte Makeup, and Performing Preference Hair Color, all by L'Oreal.
We hope you had a smile or two. And we'll be back with an all-new special in November. Thank you for being with us tonight.
It's like the Ten Commandments. It's a great movie. But there's actors in that who should never do biblical films. Edward G. Robinson?
Where's the Messiah now?
I like the new ad campaign. You need TV Guide because TV's getting more complicated every day. Boy, I know there are people out there, gee, we'd like to watch the Dukes of Hazzard. We just don't have the educational background. If only there was a supplement we could follow along.
I could enunciate to the back row, just like Sylvester Stallone doing Hamlet. This would be a place where Stallone could do Hamlet. To be or what?